Hi, let's do a yoga class where we work towards a balancing posture today. So this is great if you're a beginner yogi, or if you're a little bit further along in your yoga journey, you can make this work for you. Let's begin in a seated position. You can sit on your heels or in a cross-legged position, whatever feels best for you today. But when you are seated, just really allow those sit bones to sink down into the floor and really lengthen up through the spine. And to begin, we're just going to tune into our breath, getting to know where our breath is at today. A key part of balancing is actually really finding focus. So tuning into the breath and finding focus on the breath in particular can really help us when we are going into our balancing postures. And throughout class today, I'm going to encourage you to come to a breath practice called Ujjayi breathing. If you've never done Ujjayi breath, don't worry, I'm going to talk you through it a little now. So the Ujjayi breath is when we really focus on the exhale breath. So as if we're blowing air on a mirror, but with our mouth closed. So I'm going to take you through a couple of rounds, and I'll teach you the way that I learned Ujjayi breath, because I think it's a great way to learn this practice. So we're going to inhale through the nose, and then as we exhale, take your palm of your hand in front of you, and we're going to breathe out as if we're blowing air on a mirror. So creating the sound. Taking an inhale and exhaling. Now the next time you do this, we're going to close down the mouth. So we're going to inhale, and the exhale still as if we're blowing that air onto the mirror, but with the mouth closed. So inhale, exhale. So you can still hear that sound that your breath makes, because we're creating that slight restriction in the throat there as we exhale. So taking another round, inhaling, and exhale as if you're blowing that air on a mirror but with your mouth closed. It's a really audible breath, something that you can really hear. Taking 2 more rounds here. And 1 more breath. Then just releasing that breath, and just knowing that that is a breath that you can come back to throughout our practice and in any actual posture we take today. It's really great for warming you from the inside out and for really calming the body. So it's a great way as we move into poses to really find calmness in each pose. So let's begin by coming onto our backs today. Lowering your back to the mat and bringing your heels just under your knees. We're going to ground down through the feet, bringing the hands alongside you, and as we inhale, we're going to tilt the tailbone up towards the sky and then gently lift off the mat in a bridge pose. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. On our next inhale, we're going to lift those hips up and lift them a little higher this time, and we're going to hold here. Now your hands can stay here pressed into the mat beside you, or you can bring them underneath your bottom clasping the fingers together and then walking the shoulders under so you can lift up a little further. And we're just going to gently lift our heels up, coming up onto our toes here. Taking a round of breath. You can come back to that Ujjayi breath as if you're blowing air out on a mirror but with the mouth closed. And then lowering the heels and releasing the hands and lowering down to the mat. Bringing the knees into the chest and gently rocking yourself up and down your spine to come up through seated. Rolling over the legs here and coming through tabletop. Now here we're going to walk the hands forward about a handprint, tuck the toes under and send the hips up towards the sky. Downward dog. Now this is your first downward dog of the day, so feel free to walk the dog a little bit. Bending one knee and then the other. Now just making sure that your hands are as wide as your shoulders and your knees are as wide as your hips. Then really bending through the knees, sending that chest back towards the knees and thighs, and then lengthening up through the spine before straightening through the legs a little. They don't have to be straight, but just starting to straighten through them. Coming back to that Ujjayi breath. Then on your next inhale, bend the knees, look between the hands, and walk the feet towards the hands. Inhale, lift up halfway, and exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down through the feet, and reaching the arms overhead on your inhale, exhale, hands to heart center. Now here we're going to gently close down the eyes and start to find balance here. We're going to gently rock forward and back on the toes and the heels, and then really come to rest in that center point where you feel most stable and balanced. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to reach the arms overhead, and exhale, drop the right hand down beside you, lifting the left arm over and bending to the right side. So really finding length through that left side of the body. Inhale, coming back through center, and exhale, dropping the left hand, right arm over, finding a stretch up through the right side. Inhale back to center, and exhale, folding over the legs into a forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, and then exhale, plant the hands and step back into a plank position. So shoulders, hands under the shoulders, lengthening through from the tip of the head to the bottom of the heels. Lowering the knees down to the mat, untucking the toes, and sending the chest and chin towards the mat. Pushing through, coming up for baby cobra. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Tucking the toes, knees down on the mat still as you push up through tabletop, and then sending the hips up into downward dog. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. Bend the knees, look between the hands, and step forward. Lifting up halfway. Exhale, fold over the legs, ground down through the feet, reaching the arms overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. On your next inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Ground down through the hands and step back into plank. Lower the knees, chest and chin to the mat. Push through for baby cobra. This time you might lift up a little higher into a fuller cobra. Exhale, sending the hips back, downward dog. Bending the knees, looking between the hands and stepping forward. Find your half lift. Lengthen through the spine here. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down through the feet, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. On your next inhale, we're going to come up. Exhale, fold forward. Find that half lift, long spine. Exhale, plant the hands and step the right foot back. Keeping that left knee directly over the left ankle, and we're going to sweep the arms up overhead for a high lunge. Gently bend through that back knee, tilting the tailbone towards the front of the mat before lengthening through that right knee. Now here, just drop those shoulders down away from the ears. Fixing that gaze in front of you. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. On your next exhale, we're going to take that right heel and drop it down to the mat, parallel with the short side of the mat. Coming into Warrior Two here. So just take a moment, we're going to keep that front left knee bent over the left ankle, and that left heel is going to intersect the right foot, right in the center. Drop those shoulders down away from the ears again, and take the gaze out over the left fingertips. Ujjayi breath here. Now we're going to circle that right arm up and overhead, bringing the left arm and the right hand to the mat. Tucking those right toes back under, ground down through the right hand and lifting the left arm up to the side. Opening through the chest, looking to the left side of the mat. Ujjayi breath. Take that left hand to the mat and step the left foot back. Plank pose. Holding for a breath, coming back to that Ujjayi breathing. Lower the knees, lower the chest and chin towards the mat. Push through for a high cobra. Ujjayi breath here. Then sending the hips up and back, downward dog. Come back to your breath. Bend the knees, look between the hands and step forward. Half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down through the feet, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold over the legs. Half lift. And then plant the hands, keeping that right knee over the right ankle, stepping the left foot back. And then lifting the arms overhead for high lunge. Gently bending that left knee, tilting the tailbone forward and towards the front of the mat before lengthening through that left leg, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. Ujjayi breath. Beautiful. Turning to the left side of the mat, dropping that left heel down onto the mat. Right ankle intersecting the left sole of the foot. Reaching the arms long. Gaze coming out over the right fingertips. Ujjayi breathing here. Circle that left arm up and around, coming to the mat, bringing the right hand to the mat, grounding down into that left hand, up on those back toes, and then open up to the right side of the mat. Ujjayi breath. Remembering as if we're blowing on a mirror, but with our mouth closed. Right hand meets the mat. Stepping that right foot back, plank pose. Lowering the knees to the mat, coming through chest and chin to the mat, pushing through high cobra, and exhale back, downward dog. Bend the knees, look between the hands and step forward. Half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet. Reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. From here, we're going to really ground down into that left leg. And then just begin to come up onto the toes of the right foot. And then when you're ready, lifting that right knee up. Taking a couple of rounds of breath here, finding a spot to focus on that's not moving. And then taking that right ankle with the right hand and bringing that sole of the foot anywhere above or below the knee. So you can bring your foot to your calf or to your thigh. Or if your balance is a little off today, because balance is different every day, especially like as women on our periods or things, our balance can be affected. So if your balance is really off, just taking your right toes to the mat beside the left foot here for a tree pose. So wherever you are today, know that's where you're meant to be. Sole of the foot in towards the leg, and that right leg is opening out to the side. Beautiful. Coming back to that Ujjayi breath. Then releasing the foot, bringing the knee back towards the front of the mat. Keeping that foot lifted. And as we exhale, we're going to step back into our high lunge again, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Drop that back heel, opening up for warrior two. Allow yourself the time to check that left knee is over the left ankle. Beautiful. Breathing here. Exhale, dropping the hands to the mat. Ground down through that right hand. Open up to the left side. Left hand meets the mat. Stepping that left foot back. Plank pose. Lower the knees. Chest and chin towards the mat. Push through for a high cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Check your position here. Feet, hips distance apart. Hands as wide as the shoulders. Taking a micro bend in the knees or the elbows if you need to, totally up to you. Then bending the knees, looking between the hands and stepping forward. Half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down through the feet. Reaching up on the inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Finding the breath. Grounding down into that right leg. And beginning to lift the left knee. Coming to the toes to begin with. And then lifting the left leg up. As if your knee is attached to a piece of string and it's just lifting up like a marionette. Keeping long through the spine here. Then taking your left hand and bringing it to the ankle and placing your foot again either above or below the knee or toes on the ground if that feels best for you for tree pose. Allowing that left knee to open out to the side. Coming back to your Ujjayi breath. Keeping that gaze on a point that is not moving to help you stay balanced, but also knowing that if you fall out of it, it's totally okay. Just come back into it. Send that left knee to the front of the mat and then tipping forward, stepping that left foot back, high lunge. Open up to the left side of the mat, warrior two. Gaze is coming out over those right fingertips. Hand circles down to the mat, left hand grounds down and open up to the right side. Right hand meets the mat. Stepping back for plank pose. Lowering the knees to the mat. Coming forward, bringing the chest and the chin towards the ground. Pushing through for cobra. Lifting up. Opening through the heart. Exhale. Sending those hips back for downward dog. Bringing the knees back to the mat. Big toes together, knees as wide as the mat. Sinking the hips back for child's pose. Dropping the head towards the mat. You can come back to that Ujjayi breath here. And walking the hands back towards the knees, coming up to sit. We're going to send our legs out in front of us and sitting up nice and tall. So you might like to move that fleshy part of the bum out of the way there. Lengthening up through the spine, reaching the arms overhead, and exhaling, taking the hands towards the toes, but landing wherever feels good for you. So you might be here, you could be here on your shins, you might be down beside the ankles, you might reach your toes, wherever feels good for you today. Then lifting up on your inhale and exhale, hands down beside you. Bending that right knee and taking the right sole of the foot into the left thigh there. Inhale, reaching up overhead again, and exhale, folding over the left leg. Inhale, coming up, and exhale, releasing. Taking that right leg long, bending the left sole of the foot in towards the right thigh. Inhale, reaching up overhead, and exhale, fold forward. Coming up on your inhale, releasing the hands. Bringing the soles of the feet to the mat and dropping back vertebrae by vertebrae, coming down to rest on the mat. Keeping those feet just under the knees, and we're going to come back to that bridge pose. So grounding down into the feet, arms coming alongside you, tilting the hips and lifting up into bridge. Again, your hands can clasp behind your back, really just sending those hips up towards the sky. Exhale, lower down. Bringing the knees in towards the chest, rocking a little side to side. And then taking your hands either under the knees here or to the outside of the soles of your feet and sending the feet up towards the sky for happy baby pose. Now here you might rock a little side to side, totally up to you. You might prefer this or you might like to find stillness, whichever works is where you should be. Now just taking that action of sending the hips towards the mat there and then shoulders down away from the ears. Breathe in here. On your next exhale, release the legs. Bring the feet back to the mat. And then coming into Shavasana. So sending the legs long. Taking the arms down beside you, palms faced up. And just coming to rest here for a few moments. Letting go of any thoughts of the breath. Letting go of anything that comes through your thoughts even. And just finding yourself in this space where you can just be present. Beginning to lengthen the inhales and the exhales. Maybe taking some small movements through the fingers and the toes. You might make those movements a little bigger through the wrists and the ankles. And then stretching the arms overhead, reaching long. Before bending the knees and rolling to the right side. Just taking a moment here to find gratitude for something that has either happened today or just for something in your life. And then when you're ready, making your way up. When you find yourself in a sitting position, bringing the hands together in front of the heart. And again, we're going to honour my favourite teacher, Leslie Fightmaster here, by bringing our hands to our foreheads, reminding us to have clear and loving thoughts. Hands to our heart centres, reminding us to have clear and loving intentions. And hands to our mouth, reminding us to have clear and loving communications. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste. If you enjoyed this practice today, please hit the like button. Let me know what you liked about it so that I can incorporate these into other classes. Hit subscribe and share it with as many friends as you feel called to. I think yoga is a fantastic tool that we can all utilize in our everyday lives, and I think it's important to share the joy of it. Have a beautiful rest of your day.